On February 18, 2025, just before closing time in a small independent repair shop tucked behind a strip mall off the interstate, a silver crossover rolled into my bay with hazard lights still blinking. The driver was confused. He said 3 warning lights had come on at once that morning. The car felt off, and a dealership had already quoted him nearly $2,000. Today, I am revealing why moments like this almost never mean your car is broken, and how a few free resets can fix problems most shops hope you never question. I have seen this exact scene play out hundreds of times. A driver walks in bracing for bad news, halfway convinced their car is dying. They have Googled symptoms, read horror stories, been told words like module failure, internal fault, or system malfunction. By the time they reach my shop, they are emotionally prepared to spend money they should not have to spend. This driver handed me a printed estimate: new throttle body, software update, diagnostic fee, labor, and taxes. The car had barely crossed 70,000 miles. I did not even touch a wrench. I did not pull a single part. I did not order anything. 15 minutes later, every warning light was gone. The idle was smooth, and the transmission shifted like nothing had ever been wrong. That moment right there is why this video matters. Because modern cars do not fail the way older cars did. More often, they get confused. Here is the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. The majority of problems drivers experience today are not mechanical failures. They are data problems, corrupted memory, conflicting inputs, and learned behaviors that no longer match reality. Your car is no longer just metal and fuel. It is a rolling computer network packed with modules that constantly learn, adapt, and make decisions without you ever noticing. And when that learning goes wrong, the symptoms can look catastrophic. Vehicles now contain dozens, and sometimes over 100, electronic control modules. The engine has a brain, the transmission has a brain, the brakes have a brain, even the windows and door locks have a brain. All of them talk to each other constantly. They store memory, they adapt to how you drive, they compensate for sensor readings, they adjust fuel delivery, shift timing, throttle response, and idle speed based on patterns they think are correct. But here is the problem. Once bad data gets stored, the system does not question it. It trusts it. If a sensor sends a wrong reading once, the module adapts. If voltage drops during a weak battery start, the module adapts. If you replace a part but do not reset the system, the module keeps compensating for a problem that no longer exists. This is why drivers hear phrases like intermittent fault or no problem found. It is why a car can feel terrible one day and perfectly fine the next. It is why warning lights can come and go without explanation. And it is why so many people are paying for parts they never needed. Shops do not always explain this. The industry is still built around replacing components. A reset does not look impressive on an invoice, and it does not justify a big bill, so it often gets skipped. But resets work constantly. I have seen transmissions shift harshly after a battery replacement. I have seen engines idle rough after routine maintenance. I have seen fuel economy drop by 30% with no mechanical cause. And I have seen all of it disappear after the right reset was performed in the right order. Think about your phone. When it starts lagging or freezing, you do not assume the processor is damaged. You restart it. You clear the cache. You reset the system. Cars are no different now. The only difference is most drivers were never taught to think of them that way. In this video, I am going to walk you through the exact reset procedures I use in my own shop. These are free methods that clear corrupted data, force modules to relearn correctly, and restore normal behavior without replacing a single part. These are not hacks. These are legitimate diagnostic steps used every day by technicians who understand how modern vehicles actually operate. I will also be honest, Resets do not fix everything. There are times when a real mechanical failure exists, and I will show you how to recognize those moments. By the end of this video, you will understand why so many serious car problems disappear in minutes, why shops rarely start with resets, and how to take control of your vehicle before it drains your wallet. Most drivers never realize how fragile the digital side of their car really is. They assume problems come from worn parts or bad luck. Once you understand how modern vehicles actually think, a very different picture emerges. Your car is not reacting to the world directly, it is reacting to data. When that data goes bad, everything that depends on it starts making the wrong decisions. Inside every modern vehicle are dozens of control modules talking to each other every second. The engine control unit decides how much fuel to inject. The transmission control module decides when and how hard to shift. None of them feel anything. They trust numbers, sensor values, learned behavior, and stored memory. When those numbers drift or become corrupted, the system adapts. That adaptation is where the trouble begins. Imagine a car that once had a dirty mass airflow sensor. For weeks, the sensor reported less air than was actually entering the engine. The engine control unit responded by adding more fuel. That adaptation was saved. Later, the sensor is cleaned, and the airflow is now correct. But the engine control unit is still compensating for a problem that no longer exists. So the engine runs rich. Fuel economy drops. Idle feels off. The driver replaces spark plugs, changes oil, or switches gas brands. Nothing fixes it because the problem is not hardware. It is memory. A new battery is installed and the voltage characteristics change. The modules do not reset properly. Suddenly, the transmission shifts harshly. The idle hunts. Warning lights flicker. Shops diagnose the symptoms instead of the cause. The cycle continues. Each step costs money. None of it addresses the corrupted logic at the core. Then there is driving pattern memory. Modern cars learn how you drive. If you accelerate gently for months, the transmission adapts with softer shifts. If you drive aggressively even once, the shift logic changes. Over time, small deviations stack up. The system becomes over-adapted. Everything technically works, but nothing feels right. Fuel economy fades. Shifts become inconsistent. Throttle response dulls. The car simply drifts away from its optimal state. This is where reset procedures become powerful. A reset does not erase a problem, it removes assumptions. It forces the car to stop trusting outdated data and start observing reality again. When done correctly, a reset reveals whether a symptom is caused by bad logic or by bad hardware. A full battery disconnect reset clears adaptive memory. Fuel trims reset. Idle control relearns. Transmission shift logic clears. Then there are targeted fuse resets. Instead of rebooting the entire vehicle, you isolate a single system. If a transmission behaves strangely after fluid service, reset only the transmission control module. If an infotainment screen is frozen, reset just that module. What surprises most people is how often these resets work. Not occasionally, but consistently. Most modern problems are not failures. They are misunderstandings between sensors, software, and stored behavior. And here is the uncomfortable part. Many repair shops know this, but resets do not generate revenue. They do not justify invoices, they do not sell parts. So they are rarely offered as a first step. Instead, diagnostics point toward replacements, sensors, modules, entire assemblies, each one addressing a symptom that could vanish the moment the system is forced to relearn. Real mechanical failures exist, but resets are the filter. They separate logic errors from physical damage. This is where everything comes together. Resets are not just emergency tricks, they are a mindset shift. Once you understand how modern cars actually fail, you stop reacting emotionally and start diagnosing logically. Modern vehicles do not age the way old cars did. Engines do not just wear out at random. What actually happens is much quieter. Data drifts, voltage fluctuates, sensors lie just enough to confuse the system, and the car does exactly what it was programmed to do. It adapts. Over months and years, those adaptations stack on top of each other until the car feels wrong, not broken, just wrong. This is why resets are so powerful. They wipe away decisions the car made when something was not quite right. A weak battery last winter, a dirty sensor 6 months ago, a short trip routine that never let the engine fully warm up. The car learned around those conditions and kept using that data long after the conditions changed. A reset forces the system to stop guessing and start listening again. But this is where most people misuse resets. They treat them like magic and reset once, then say it did not work. A reset is not the end, it is the beginning. After a reset, the car needs clean data to relearn from. That means fixing obvious issues first and driving normally. The relearn phase matters more than the reset itself. If you want smooth idle, good fuel economy, and clean shifts, let the system relearn under calm conditions. And here is the most important distinction. Resets fix data problems. They do not fix broken hardware. If a sensor is dead or a wire is corroded, a reset will not save it. But what resets give you is clarity. If you reset and the problem disappears, you just saved hundreds. If you reset and the problem comes back quickly, you know it is real. That alone puts you ahead of most drivers. What makes this uncomfortable for the industry is that resets do not scale financially. There is no part to sell, no labor hours to bill. A 5-minute fix does not fit a system built around replacements. The person who benefits most from resets is you. Once you start thinking this way, everything changes. A warning light becomes information, not fear. You stop assuming the worst and start verifying the truth. Use caution. Reset after battery replacement. Reset after throttle cleaning. Reset after sensor replacement. Reset when symptoms appear without codes. But do not reset blindly every week. Resets are correction tools, not maintenance substitutes. Now that you understand why resets work, here are the exact procedures that solve real problems. The battery disconnect reset clears everything, every module, every adaptation. Make sure the vehicle is completely off. Open the hood and disconnect the negative terminal first. Always the negative first. The negative cable is usually black. Use a wrench to loosen the nut, pull the cable away, and secure it so it cannot touch the terminal. Now the step most people skip. Press the brake pedal and hold it for 10 seconds. This drains residual voltage from the capacitors. Without this step, modules may retain partial memory. After pressing the brake, wait at least 15 minutes. 30 minutes is better. This lets every capacitor fully discharge. Do not reconnect anything. Just wait. Reconnect the battery. Positive terminal first, then negative. Tighten the terminals firmly. Turn the ignition to on, but do not start the engine. Let it sit for 10 seconds. This allows modules to power up. Dashboard lights may flicker. That is normal. After 10 seconds, start the engine. Let it idle without touching the gas for at least 5 minutes. The idle may hunt. The engine control unit, ECU, is relearning. Do not panic. Let it finish. After the idle stabilizes, drive gently. Use light throttle and smooth acceleration. Avoid hard braking and aggressive acceleration for at least 30 miles. The transmission is relearning shift points. The engine control unit is relearning fuel trims, and the throttle is relearning pedal inputs. Every system is building new baselines. This reset works for rough idle after maintenance, harsh shifts after battery replacement, poor fuel economy with no mechanical cause, and inconsistent throttle response. If your vehicle has an advanced security system, check your owner's manual first. Some cars require radio codes or steering lock relearn procedures. The targeted fuse reset is less invasive. Every module has a specific fuse. Pull the correct fuse, wait, and reset just that system. Say your transmission shifts harshly after fluid service. Open your fuse panel. Your manual shows which fuse powers the TCM, usually labeled TCM, transmission or powertrain control. Pull the fuse. Wait at least 5 minutes. 15 minutes is safer. Reinsert firmly. Turn the ignition to on for 10 seconds, then start the engine. Drive gently for the first few miles. The TCM has reset. Same principle for other systems. Frozen infotainment screen? Pull the radio fuse. Power windows acting up? Pull the body control fuse. Check engine light after throttle cleaning? Pull the ECU fuse. Targeted resets are surgical and free. This pedal reset procedure works on many vehicles without disconnecting anything. Turn the ignition to on without starting the engine. Immediately press the gas pedal to the floor and hold it for 15 seconds. While holding the pedal, turn the ignition off. Wait 5 seconds. Release the pedal slowly. Wait 5 seconds. Turn the ignition back to on and start the engine. This triggers a reset on many Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and GM models. When it works, results are immediate. Here is what separates success from failure. This is the relearn process. After any reset, drive normally for at least 50 miles. Use smooth inputs with gradual acceleration and steady highway speeds. Avoid short trips, avoid stop-and-go traffic, and avoid performance driving. Let the systems stabilize. Understanding when not to use resets matters just as much. If you reset and the problem comes back within a few miles, you have a real fault, not corrupted data, but a genuine hardware failure. It could be a failing sensor, a damaged wire, or a worn component. At that point, the reset confirmed the issue is not a software problem. Do not keep resetting, hoping for a different result. If you have a check engine light with an active code, a reset might clear it temporarily, but it will come back if the underlying issue is not fixed. Resets work best when there are no codes, only symptoms. Examples include rough idle, harsh shifts, or poor fuel economy, each occurring with no codes. If the air filter is clogged, the battery is weak, the fuel is garbage, and the spark plugs are fouled, resetting the ECU will not fix anything. The car will just learn bad data again. Resets work on vehicles that are otherwise healthy. Clean filters, fresh fluids, good battery. When the fundamentals are right, resets can make a car feel brand new. When the conditions are right, the results speak for themselves. Smooth idle, clean shifts, normal fuel economy, no warning lights. That feeling is not magic. It is what happens when the car is finally running on accurate information. And you can do this yourself. You do not need a scan tool or special training. So before you authorize a repair, before you assume the worst, before you hand over your credit card, reset, observe, confirm, then decide. That simple sequence will save you thousands over the life of your vehicle. The most expensive repair is not the one that fixes a real problem. It is the one that fixes a problem that never existed. If this changed the way you think about car problems, hit like, so more drivers see it. Subscribe for weekly breakdowns that give you control instead of confusion. If you have ever fixed a problem with a reset that a shop wanted to charge you for, drop your story in the comments. The most expensive car problem is not the one that breaks your vehicle. It is the one that breaks your confidence. Now you have the knowledge to take that confidence back.